across all time zones, covering both hemispheres. It's time for another featured music special on the Artistfirst Radio Network. Z-Man sitting in Studio 1A. Today we have an international show coming your way the next hour. Our guest, I believe, is in England. Let's find out. Let's welcome to the Artistfirst microphones, Mr. Sam York. Hello, Sam.
Hey there, Scott. How you doing?
It's a pleasure to speak with you. And so where are we reaching you in the vast universe today?
Right now, I'm actually in a very sunny Soho in central London. It's a Friday afternoon. I just hear a police car rushing past. Everyone's leaving work. Yeah, it's a beautiful September evening.
Well, that's a wonderful thing, and Sam, we're gonna compliment that wonderful evening you're having with some wonderful music that you are coming off. I believe it's off your Safety in Numbers EP. Is that right?
That's right. That's very generous of you to say so, Scott. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's my first EP.
Really? Well, congratulations, because it sounds like you've been doing this forever. It came out very well. I'm envious.
Well, if I'm honest, it felt like it took forever to make. So maybe you're not far off the money.
Yeah, I tell you what. As a professional musician, I just retired from playing 40 years out in public, and I neglected my studio chores for decades, and now I'm back in the studio trying to accomplish what you've done, and I'm much older than you, Sam. So I am envious of what you have done here.
Well, it's a great honor to speak to an elder statesman such as yourself.
And elder's probably the key word there, folks. I ain't getting any, ain't as young as I used to was, as they say. Well, Sam, tell us about yourself. Many of our listeners are going to be hearing about you for the very first time. Let's talk about Sam. Were you born in England? You certainly sound like you were.
Yeah, I was absolutely. I was born in the town of Cambridge, which you may know for the university there, and I've lived in the UK all of my life, and I've been a musician since I was 6. It's something which has sort of been in my blood, I suppose, for as long as I can remember. I've spent many years as a session musician. So I performed alongside. I've been lucky enough to perform along some of my idols. I worked with Tom Jones for many years, and through that I got to play with people like Ed Sheeran, Peter Gabriel, Jessie J, a few different people that I've been sort of very privileged to play alongside and really learn from as well.
Fantastic. Peter Gabriel, man, I love Peter Gabriel. Of course, I love his...
That was playing the guitar part for Sledgehammer was a real career highlight for me.
Oh, wait, is that you? You're playing guitar on Sledgehammer?
No, not on the record. No, I don't want to put out any false information though. Not on the record, but I got to play it live with him.
Oh well, that's just as good. In fact, when I was playing in cover bands all those years, we played a lot of Peter Gabriel music. That's what they wanted to hear. Sledgehammer and a couple other ones. Anyway, he was very popular in the day, and of course, now he was from Genesis, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And we used to play a lot of Genesis music back in the day. That's what
Sounds like you were in a great band.
We were, except no, we weren't. But we've tried playing those songs.
You guys need to get the band back together.
No, we don't. No. Been there, done that, thousands and thousands of times. It's worked its way. I'm through with that. You'll get there, Sam. Right. Trust me. When your lead singer goes out and smokes crack and goes home and stabs her husband 3 times, doesn't kill him, but is looking at 5 to 11 in the penitentiary, it's hard to book gigs.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, that sounds like a legitimate reason to maybe hang up your hat on that one.
And I know you work with women, but I just want to say, don't ever work with women. Okay, I said it. That's I said it. Okay. All right. So, well, gee, now you're a heck of a guitar player, and not a bad singer either, Sam. Do you play any other instruments?
Yeah, I play keyboards as well. I play piano and keyboard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, are you a
I'm
natural?
used- Do you know what? I don't even know what that word means.
Well,
That
what I
word
mean
means.
is, did you take formal education, or did you learn like all my friends did? We can just do it, you know? We just were able to play. We don't read music. We can play virtually anything we can hear, but we don't have that formal education. We call those naturals.
Well, I kind of, I'm gonna say something controversial, which is I'm probably wrong, but personally, I don't really believe in talent. I know that's not quite what you said, but I believe that we have passions for things, and it's certainly true that when I was young, I was just absolutely obsessed with music. I used to listen to it all the time, and I think as a result, yeah, I did. I was kind of self-taught. You know, I just kind of I begged my parents to buy me a guitar when I was 6 years old, and I was adamant that it had to be an electric guitar, and I just I badgered them for maybe a year and a half before they finally relented and bought me an electric guitar, and then I just played it all the time. So, am I a natural? I don't know. I'm naturally in love with it. Perhaps that's the best way to put it.
Do you still have that guitar?
I I actually gave that guitar to my first love when I was a teenager.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know if she's still got it or not.
Yeah. Well,
Did I
better leave that
make
alone.
Was that a foolish move? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I look at I had my first guitar, which was oh gosh, what was it called? A Silvertone, a 1966 Silvertone.
Those are classic guitars, aren't they?
And guess what? Only a few years ago, one of my bandmates, it's hanging on the wall in my studio, and he looked at it and he goes, "That's a left-handed body on a right-handed neck." I wonder how rare that is. You know, the Cutaway is made for a left-handed player, but it's a right-handed guitar. Anyway, odd things. But I look at my instruments. I may be an idiot. I look at my instruments as some of my best friends in the world. And if my house was ever burning down, of course I'd rescue my pets. But after that, I'm taking my instruments out the front door.
And which one's coming first?
Well, of course my pets, but you know, I have 7 pianos. It might take a while to move all those out the front door, but that's my main instrument. But I don't know. Some people, and no disrespect to these musicians, they just see their instruments as tools, like a hammer or a pair of pliers. And but I don't know. I get attached to these inanimate objects. How about you?
Well, I know what you're saying. I don't want you to judge me. I'm very, very sorry to say I'm one of those musicians who sees my instrument a bit like a hammer. I mean, should we end the call here? Is that?
Well, you don't have any problem smashing your guitar at the end of the concert to the cheers of the audience?
Well, if I could afford to, I wouldn't mind it. No, that's not true, actually. I have an acoustic guitar, which I've had maybe for almost 18 years, and I do have a real affection for it. It's the guitar that you can hear all across the album.
What kind is it?
And it's a Lakewood, which is a German handmade manufacturer.
Ooh, I don't think I've heard
and
of it.
It has a very unusual sound. It has a very sort of woody and open sound, which is unlike any other acoustic guitar I know, really. So I'm not telling the truth. That does hold a special place for me, and I've actually the neck on it has snapped maybe 3 or 4 times.
How's that happen?
Repaired every time. The first time was on a flight with an American airline that I won't mention the name of.
Okay, well,
and
we probably know.
Yeah, it came back in pieces. We'll just say, and I've had it repaired, but I'm afraid the biggest culprit is flights. It's happened a couple of times with flights. I'm sad to say.
Right. So you didn't drop it on stage or some drunk fall on it.
There was one time I did drop it at a venue, yeah, and just before I went on stage, in fact.
Well, that may chip it, but that usually doesn't permanently damage a unit. I don't know. We've seen a few acts.
No, it didn't affect the performance either.
Well,
no one noticed.
Do you recall the very first song you ever wrote?
Gosh, I do, yeah.
Will we be playing that today?
No. I wrote that a very long time ago, and thankfully, it's long forgotten. It's I'm not sure I could find it. I could try. If we speak again, I'll try and find it.
And so, how many pieces of music do you think you've written? Not necessarily recorded, but actually written.
That's really hard for me to say. I have to say, I know a lot of songwriters have a kind of machine gun approach to writing. So a common thing that I've heard songwriters say is that they'll write maybe 30 songs, and out of that, one they'll really love and they'll consider to be a really good song. I have to say the approach that I tend to take is it can take me a very long time to write a song. In fact, Safety in Numbers, the title track for the album, took me the best part of a year to write. Obviously, I wasn't working on it full time, but I don't know. I've actually probably written under 100 songs in my lifetime, but I'm not sure on the exact number.
I don't know that it's quantity as much as it's quality. You know, there's been some one-hit wonders out there. Of course, you don't know how many songs they've written other than that, but there's been some great, great music that maybe an artist will only be remembered for one song they ever wrote. But I guess it's just the way it goes. Now, what about your family? Are you you come from a line of creative people?
No, not at all, actually. None of my family are. They're certainly not professional musicians. Most of my family are linguists. My father was a French and Turkish translator. My mother was a French speaker. My sister also speaks multiple languages, but none of them are really musicians, and I'm not really a linguist. I'm afraid this is me. English is all I've got. So, yeah, it's a bit of a funny one. I don't really know where my sort of obsession with music came from. It just sort of appeared out of nowhere.
Well, that's been our unscientific survey we've been doing for the last 20 years. Where do artists get their talent? Is it nature or is it nurture? And after 20 years, I can confidently say we don't have the slightest idea. It just seems to fall where it falls. Well, you mentioned Safety in Numbers a moment ago. And folks, we're going to start playing some music by our guest, Sam York. Why don't we start off with that track? Is that okay with you?
That would be great. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's hear it, folks. Safety in Numbers from our guest, Sam York. Here we go.
Time I lost my way till your 2 hands held to guide me home. Now there are 3 words you taught me to say, and 4 walls I built you stone by stone. 5 fingers cling to my heart, and your 6th sense sees secrets I keep. For 7 days we've been apart. I've tried 8 hours straight, but still can't sleep. Why do you define us if it all adds up? Why take away the times we still got? Safety in numbers, safety in numbers. For 9 years you all I've known. You made me 10 times the man I used to be. The 11th hour you left me alone and told me in 12 months you'll come back to me. Why do you define us if it all adds up? Why take away the times we've still got? There's safety in numbers. arrogant equation in the end returns. Oh, tell me it's not true that each and every earthly sum will eventually reduce to one. There's safety in numbers, safety in numbers. Whoa, whoa. There's safety in numbers, safety in numbers. Whoa. There's safety in numbers, safety in numbers. There's safety in numbers. There's safety in numbers. There's safety in numbers. 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 Safety in numbers. There's safety
Wow. Nice job, Sam. That is Sam York. That song is Safety in Numbers. Wow. You're doing a heck of a job for your first EP, Sam. Congratulations.
That's really kind of you, Scott. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I can see why Peter Gabriel hired you.
You couldn't find anyone else. Random telephone numbers.
Oh, I doubt that. That speaks volumes. Just the names that you mentioned, Tom Jones, Peter Gabriel, a couple I remember off the top of my head. Folks, they can pick anybody they want, and they pick Sam. And I think you just heard the first example of why. Let's talk about the creative process. For most people in the world, they'll never write a song or a poem or a book, etc. And the creative process is an interesting one. So I don't know if anyone's ever studied it, but how does it work for you? Let's talk about songwriting now. Do you hear the lyric first? Do you hear the melody first? Does it happen all at once? And I know you just said in the previous segment, sometimes it takes years to write a song. Tell us about that process.
Well, for me, fundamentally, a song is a feeling. So whenever I write, I'm always focused on the feeling that I'm trying to communicate. And it's also a story. For me, fundamentally, a song is a story. So usually I begin with a scenario, a bit like a scene in a movie. Maybe it's something from my own life, something I've been through or I've seen someone else go through. And so really I just begin with a situation and I sort of contemplate that situation for quite a long time and think about what the various people involved might have been feeling, what they might have wanted to say. And then I really regard a song as a bit like script writing for a movie. So I think about the singer as, if you like, the lead character in the scene in the movie, and the goal as a songwriter is to try and create a short 3-minute scene that is feels real and resonates and tells a deep, well, hopefully an enlightening story in just a few short words. Does that help at all?
No. Yeah, you declarified that. No, I'm just kidding. A song is an interesting thing, in the abstract. You try to, what is a song? I mean, I don't want to get too deep philosophically here, but ultimately, a song or a painting, any piece of artwork, ultimately is a personal experience, right? Two people hear the song, they get completely different things. Ultimately, it is. You can be in a crowd of people and listen to a concert, and everybody takes a little something different away. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think of music as a language, and obviously English is a language as well. And what I think is so fascinating and potentially powerful about songs is you're communicating in two languages simultaneously. You're writing a short poem, I suppose, in English, and you're also writing a parallel sound poem in music, which hopefully, if you get the marriage between the two right, can make that poem in English all the more powerful. It helps to help you feel the words and not just think the words, if that makes any sense.
It does. I'm going to go out on a limb here and ask the following question. I bet there are periods in your life, Sam, where you are tremendously creative and stuff just flies out of you. And then there are periods of your life where it ain't happening at all. Has that been your normal experience?
I'm still waiting for those times when it just flows out of me. I'm sure they're going to come. They're going to come any day.
Well, it must have. You got this EP out. There must have been at least dripping out of you. But, most artists I speak to, not all, but most artists, it's not, the tap isn't running all the time. It's happening sometimes. And what triggers those creative events? Well, usually very good or very bad things. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. How's that work for you?
Well, I think, in truth, if there is a kind of pattern, something very bad happens, which, leads me to change my mind about some things or have some insights. I think fundamentally the best songs, the songs I really love, are songs that contain a little gem of insight in, some sort of, hopefully some wisdom perhaps. So, but I can't really write in the midst of the storm when I'm feeling really anxious or when something really traumatic is happening. So it's usually after the dust has settled, then I can write about it.
Folks, if you're just joining us, you're late and you will not get a chocolate milk at this afternoon's recess. But you're listening to the music of Sam York. He is a Brit. He's over there in England across the pond, and he's been gracious enough to spend his evening talking to us here at the Artistfirst Network. We're going to get into another track here. This one is called Maybe When We're Old. Please tell us about the creation of this piece.
Well, I actually wrote this because I ran into that first love that I mentioned earlier in the show.
Did you get your guitar back?
I didn't get my guitar back, but I got a song.
Oh, well, that's just as good.
And so maybe when we're old is really about that feeling of nostalgia, having grown up and having realized that life is maybe not what you thought it was going to be when you were a kid. Perhaps a little bit more difficult than you had anticipated. And the song is really about the feeling of meeting up with a first love after a long period and getting all those feelings come back and wondering, were those feelings more powerful than anything that's happened since? Or is it just an illusion, a kind of sort of young infatuation? So yeah, it's just it's exploring that question, really.
Your chance, maybe when we're old, we can find a way, we can find a way. Maybe when we're old, there'll be nothing in our way, nothing in our way. Maybe when we're old flame, I saw you in a white dress, slipping away into the arms of happiness, but your heart held childhood memories of our souls entwined. You wanna know how we ended up like this? You keep talking about the chances we missed. How in the years that you never got to see me, you were always mine. There's no way I can have you. It's too late, you made your choice. Maybe someone to rescue you from all the things you did wrong. I know I can't help, 'cause no one else can save you from yourself. Maybe when we're older, maybe when
Fantastic. Wow. That's Sam York, folks. That track is called Maybe When We're Old, which for me would be like right now. Sam, that is a great song. Man, you are talented, sir. Congratulations.
Oh, you're very kind, Scott. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about the, you get a song in your head. Let me streamline this. Here's an artist, folks. Here's Sam York. Now, he's got this idea in his head, and he's got to get it to come out of a pair of speakers. That's a huge journey to get what's playing in your brain to come out of a pair of speakers. That's an arduous process, and it defeats some artists. They never get there. Let's talk about you. Being a session player, of course, you had lots of studio experience, but when it became time to put your own stuff down, tell us about that experience. Some artists really struggle in the studio, and some think it's a breeze. Well, how's it work for you?
I have to say I really struggled with every single stage of the process. It was a real journey. I agree with what you say about the writing process. That's a real struggle. And as a songwriter, at least I really feel like I'm staring into the abyss. There's just a big, empty ocean of possibility. When you're writing a song, the most difficult question to answer is, well, why this line and not that line? Why this melody and not that melody? And I agree with you. It's an extremely hard process, especially since one always wants to write the best thing that one can. But with regards to the studio, that was also really hard. I have played for other people in the studio quite a lot, but really producing a record, which is what I did with this record, was all new to me. And it took a long time. For one of the tracks, which I think is possibly the track you might play next, the script, I had 3 different drummers play on that song before I got the take that I wanted. I put down loads of different vocals. Recording vocals was really the hardest part of the whole process for me, because I had, just before I was about to start recording this EP, I lost my voice for about 2 years. I had some real vocal troubles.
Wow.
So I had to wait a long time between having recorded the instrumentation for this record and then finally recording the vocals, and it was a 2-year wait before my voice was ready. And in fact, the vocals that are on the record are only, to my mind, I was only just ready.
Everybody's self-conscious about their own voices, though, Sam, myself included. The songs we've just listened to, you're a great vocalist. You shouldn't think that way. It's great. Well, look, let's talk about that just a moment. Everybody wants to sound like the greatest. You know, you can't sound like Tom Jones, right? I mean, I'll never sound like Tom Jones, but you know what? I sing better than Neil Young. I sing better than Tom Petty. Hurricane Smith. I could go down through the list. Bob Dylan. It's not, and you know, if Bob Dylan sounded like Tom Jones, nobody'd listen to him. Well, I shouldn't say that, but you know, the point I'm making is that, you know, nobody thinks, oh my God, Neil Young's a horrible vocalist. They never think about that. They think about what a great song. So I'm sorry, I had to interject. All I'm doing is covering my own butt, so when I come out with my music, I have an excuse for why I sound so terrible.
Yeah, I don't know why it's so hard. I think it's because there's nowhere to hide when you do a vocal. There's nowhere to hide emotionally, if that makes sense.
Now, that's true. And you know what? In this whole business, if you're a plumber, you don't have to go in to fix somebody's sink and talk about the worst experience of your love life. You know, I mean, that, you know, if you're a poet, if you're, you know, as an artist, it's almost required that you have to show a side of yourself that most people aren't that comfortable showing. That's just I
always think that when someone sings, you can see a lot about who they really are. It's very revealing of who a person is. I also sometimes think when people run, it's like an exaggerated version of how they walk. And when people sing, it's like an exaggerated version of how they speak. And in that sense, it can feel very revealing.
Well, now, I'm surmising by what you've just been telling us that you're probably pretty fussy in the studio. Am I wrong? I mean, and you know what? I think that's great. If you're a perfectionist, bravo. How is it for you?
Yeah, I describe myself as being a total nightmare in the studio. yeah, God, it's not unusual to do like 17, 18 takes before I get something I'm happy with, and then come back to the studio a month later and completely start again. I've had one mix engineer completely give up on the project because I was being too perfectionist and too demanding. So, I think I'm a total nightmare, I'm sorry to say.
And so that's the way it works for you. You hire out studios and you go in and you just do your stuff and let the other engineers handle all the details?
It was a real mix with this record, actually. I mean, a big chunks of it I recorded in my own van. All the vocals you hear were recorded in the back of a van.
Excellent.
And so a lot of the guitars were recorded. I used to live in a pub, in a bar, and a lot of the guitars were recorded upstairs above the bar. Some of them were recorded in a church, a chapel, around the corner from where I lived. Some of them are in friends' studios. So there's a real mix. It's a real kind of hodgepodge.
Well, and isn't it so much more relaxing when for an artist to be in an environment like your van? People are going, what? Yeah, that's right. Because you can be creative on your own time. You're not, I don't know, people aren't staring at you and well, come on, sing something good. You know what I mean? It's just a far more relaxing, creative atmosphere to be in than looking at your watch, figuring how much money you just spent. Because, folks, studio time is very expensive. It's very expensive. We've been a big proponent of artists doing as much as they can on their own for the last 23 years. Why not?
Absolutely.
Technology is wonderful. I'm rambling on here. Let's listen to that song, the script that you mentioned. Anything else you want to say before we hear it?
Well, the script was really the first time I had my heart broken as an adult, as a grown-up. You know, I don't know if I'm ashamed to say that during my sort of early 20s, I was maybe I broke a few hearts. That's a bad thing to admit, but I was not, maybe I was emotionally unavailable, I don't know. But I kind of had the experience of sort of breaking bad news to a girl who I was seeing and saying, look, I'm really sorry, this is not going to work out. But the first time I was the other side of the table and I had someone who I liked a lot and I thought this, was really going somewhere. I had her tell me, I'm sorry, this is just not going to work out. It's not you, it's me. And I suddenly heard myself saying all these words in the past and I realized how hollow they sound when you're on the receiving end. And in that moment, all I wanted was a bit of honesty. And I didn't want the cliches. I wanted the truth. I wanted to know what went wrong and what happened. And I felt like she wasn't giving that to me. So that's what this song is about. It's called The Script. And it's just, it says, when you break up with someone, there's just this script that you go through, but it's not true.
Just bad timing, that's all. I can't believe I fell for you when you told me not to right from the start. It must have happened as you lay in my arms and I listened to the beat of your heart. Now the rain beats on the window, you're crying and you're shaking, trying to find the lies designed to
You are listening to an international featured music special on the Artistfirst Radio Network. This is Z-Man in Studio 1A, and I love my job because I get to speak with fascinating, interesting people like our guest, Sam York. I get energized when I do interviews with people like you, Sam. Your creativity and your energy rubs off, at least on me. I hope it's the same for the listeners. Now, Sam, where would you rather spend tonight? Live on stage or recording in the studio?
100% recording in the studio. I'm quite an introvert.
Really?
Yeah, I find performing live really quite daunting.
Really? You're so good. Man, and you get all these great artists that want you to play with them, which is a further testament. They know what they're doing, and they're not picking, hacks that aren't.
It's actually very easy playing with a great artist because everyone is looking at them.
Yes.
So as the backing musician, I'm sort of blissfully invisible. So it's actually perfect for an introvert because no one sees you.
This is true. I'm a piano player, and I do stand up when I play, and I get to hide behind my rack of keyboards because it also helps when people throw things. It's harder for them to hit me.
Yeah. God, you're reminding me of working with Tom Jones. There was quite often various undergarment missiles thrown at the stage. Occasionally they'd miss Tom and hit people in the band.
Yeah. And why is it, I'm reminded, maybe this is unique to America, but at some of the, shall we say, I'll just say redneck bars we used to play, what is it about women who feel they need to take their shirts off on the dance floor?
Hang on. Which bars are you playing in?
Oh, my God.
I don't get to play those bars.
Oh, and sometimes, they'll be dancing with their boyfriend, and they'll yell, "Hey, look at this!" And all I'm saying is, if you're more than 70 pounds overweight, ladies, let's not do that anymore. Some of us have been scarred for life. I'm just saying, it's not always the best thing. So, okay, what's the craziest thing, Sam, that you've ever witnessed at a gig besides women throwing their underwear at Tom Jones?
Well, I once got a bangle hit me in the face at a Tom Jones gig.
A what? What hit you in the face?
A bangle? Do you know what a bangle is? Is that the same word in America? It's like a bracelet.
Oh, yeah, okay, I got you. No, yeah, I thought you were talking about a tiger.
No, a Bengal tiger. No, that would be very unusual.
That would be tough. But no, a bracelet. Well, that could be a good thing, or what? Not a good thing? That was not a good thing?
It made me feel wanted, but it was very painful, like most of my relationships.
Well, was it 24 karat gold? You could head down to the pawn shop and get a little extra bonus for the gig.
I felt I couldn't take it away. I threw it back into the audience.
Yeah, there's some crazy things you see when people are in big crowds and they're drinking.
Well, this was in Belfast, and they really know how to drink in Belfast.
So, okay, you played in England, you've played in Ireland. Where else? Anyway, where have your travels taken you?
Oh, gosh. This is going to be hard. Well, France, Italy, Germany, Belgium, Holland. I've been to the States. I've been to Japan. I've been to Brazil. I've been to Peru. I've been to Australia. Many Eastern European countries. Czech Republic. I've been to Budapest, Bucharest. Struggling to remember.
Wow, that's amazing.
Oman, the UEA, Qatar. Not sure. I'm running out.
Fantastic. Oh, what a career you've had. Is there
It's been fun.
is there a
It's been fun.
favorite place of all the countries you mentioned? Are there a couple at the top of the list that were exceptional?
One of my favorite countries on earth is Italy. I don't know if you've been to Italy, Scott.
No, I've not.
The food, the people, the countryside, it's a little slice of heaven.
I'm very envious of your travel record. That is amazing. What?
I must say, I love the Italians, but I must say, if you do a gig in Italy, there's probably no sense of urgency about when the gig starts. It might start on time, it might start late. There may be a PA system, maybe there isn't a PA system. Maybe it will have been promoted, maybe it won't be promoted, maybe there'll be a stage, maybe there won't be a stage. But what you can be sure about is that everyone you meet is warm and so welcoming, and they will make sure that you are fed and watered and entertained to the max. So it's always a beautiful experience.
Well, bravo. We have had quite a number of international artists. We've had, I don't know, maybe 1,000 over the years, and many from Italy. And there's some talented people in every country. That's another unifying factor, folks. I don't care what language you speak or what country you were born in. You can be a great musician and put out stuff that the whole world enjoys. Well, let's go enjoy this next song, folks. It's called Ballerina. Sam can tell us about it after we listen to it. Here's another track from our guest, Sam York.
To be here, too broken to leave. She dances for money, but her tears fall for free. No one can see her as they stare at the stage. An angel in darkness who's drifting away. At least she's got time on her side. A runaway dreamer, lost in the night. Ballerina, get the world far away, break free from your chains. Dance, ballerina, no, it's not too late. Start over again. There's a girl, she would dance in the dark all alone. Hear my mother crying when daddy came home. She left before dawn, but all she could take to set them both free from their biggest mistake. For now she's got time on her side. A bird in a cage, born to fly. Dance, ballerina, let the world fall away, break free from your chains. Dance, ballerina, you know it's not too late. Start over again. Don't say goodbye, don't look behind you. Just run to a place where no one can find you. No one can find you. Dance, ballerina, let the world fade away, break free from your chains. Dance, ballerina, you know it's not too late.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are spending time with Sam York. He is in England, and he is the composer and performer from all the songs you're hearing on this hour. And folks, if you're listening to this show as an archive, then you already know we've been playing Sam York music on our station for some time now. And the whole idea of what we do here at Artistfirst is to put the artist first and help these artists get recognized, get their music out to the world. Sam, if someone wants to support you and get a hold of your music, how can they do that?
There's a whole load of ways. I mean, if anyone is really tech savvy and has an iPhone, I actually made an iPhone app. So that is the best way to stay in contact with me and to hear my music, because you can hear all of my music for free there. You can also send me a message and you can see where all my gigs are. If you don't have an iPhone, or if that just seems too complicated, then I'm on all the usual platforms. Just search for Sam York on Spotify or on Apple Music. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. And yeah, just send me a message and I'll be really glad to hear from you.
And folks, you know what? It's cheaper to buy it than steal it. Because you know what? And in all seriousness here, folks. Yeah, you know what? Pirated music usually means you're going to get a virus or you're going to get malware. Something's not going to work out for you when you try to steal some music. You're going to turn over your identity to some fat guy in his basement in Croatia. So how about spending $1 or $2 or £1 or $2 and get out there, download a couple of songs, and help this great artist continue on his career.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you.
We're up against the clock. I think we can squeeze 2 more songs in here if we get to it right away. We have Crazy World left and Phoebe. Am I saying that right? Is that right, Phoebe?
You are, yeah.
Which would you like to play next?
Well, do I have time to say much about them?
Yeah, go right ahead. We're gonna plow through both of these. Can you stay with us past the top of the hour?
I've got as much time as we need.
Okay. Well, we tried, for replay reasons, we try to keep it close to an hour, but we're going to go a little bit over if that's okay with you. So, which of these 2 songs would you like to play next, and tell us about it?
I think Phoebe would be good. Yeah, Phoebe is quite a personal song. Like the last song, Ballerina, and Phoebe are both songs about friends of mine. They're both songs about situations which are not my own situation. And as such, they're particularly difficult to write and particularly difficult to perform as well, because I really feel like I have to get their permission to tell their story, which I'm glad to say I did get permission from both individuals involved. And Phoebe is about a friend of mine who had a really difficult family situation, which I sort of was able to witness from a distance, and it was really just my attempt to reach out and say, you know, you're not alone, and there are people that can see and understand what you're going through.
A missionary, your daddy was a doctor of religion. They shattered you like shards of glass. They broke you with the truth their hearts had hidden. Kaleidoscope of colors lying on the grass, a cacophony of questions that no one dares to ask. Don't cut your fingers, Phoebe, as you pick your pieces up. And please forgive them. scattered pieces as she played amongst the gravestones. 'Cause you endured your sorrow silently. You sacrificed yourself for her salvation. As you crawl amongst the wreckage, you feel helpless to restore. You find fragments fit together that shine more brightly than before. Don't cut your fingers, Phoebe, as you pick your pieces up. And please forgive us, Phoebe, for no one did enough. Don't cut your fingers, Phoebe. Don't cut your fingers, Phoebe. Don't cut your fingers, Phoebe. Don't cut your fingers, Phoebe.
Wow, folks. Fantastic music from our guest, Sam York. Folks, that song right there, you should not walk, run to samyork.com and to start downloading and getting your copies of a personal library of Sam's music off the new EP, Safety in Numbers. Sam, we're down to our last segment of this broadcast, but first of all, you're going to have to come back. You're exactly the reason we built this station, for folks just like you, and whatever we can do to help you, we're going to be here to help you. But what have we not mentioned in this program that you want to make sure gets out over the broadcast today? That would be a dial tone. We seem to have lost Sam there. Okay, the phone gods are not being very helpful today. That was a long-distance call to England. So what we're going to do is we're going to play Sam's last tune, and we'll reestablish with him so that we can give a proper ending to the program. So let's do this, folks. Let's go. The last song that Sam sent us to play on this broadcast is called Crazy World. And let's run that, and we'll reestablish with Sam and get him back for some parting words. Here we go. Crazy World from our guest, Sam York.
I don't know much or have been known to get things wrong. I heard there's no more money left and that the good old days are gone. They say the system is at fault and that there's no one we can blame. But the rich keep getting richer while the poor just stay the same. Oh, it's a crazy world that we live in. Maybe I'm just too young to understand. Oh, it's a crazy world that we've been given. What kind of world to leave behind is in our hands. I heard about a man who's on the run, 'cause he told the papers all the things his government had done. That they stole our information so that they could keep us free. But it don't feel like freedom if somebody's watching me. Oh, it's a crazy world that we live in. Maybe I'm just too young to understand. Oh, it's a crazy world that we've been given. What kind of world we leave behind is in our hands. I heard the news, thousands marching in the streets. They said nobody was listening, so they voted with their feet. Now I don't know if they can change things, but I'm glad to see them try. 'Cause in the crowd I heard somebody cry that it's a fucked up world that we live in. Maybe I'm just too young to understand, but I hear the sad, sad song that he's singing. I know enough to use my voice and raise my hands. This crazy world we leave behind is in our hands. This crazy world we leave behind is in our hands.
Okay, everybody, we should have Sam back with us. Sam, are you there?
Well, despite technology's best attempt to scupper this conversation, yeah, I'm here.
We had some technical issues, and technically our staff are idiots. That's pretty much what the problem was. At least
But
we
lovely people.
and you know, AT&T is our provider, and as every American knows, well, that's all I needed to say about that. They know. Well, Sam, we wanted to take a last minute here to give you a chance to wrap things up on this broadcast. What are plans for the future? Closing comments? Tell us everything you want.
Well, if any of your listeners are based in the UK, I have a UK tour starting tomorrow. I have a couple of concerts in Northern Ireland. I'm opening up for a fantastic Northern Irish singer called Kaz Hawkins. We're going to be on the road for about 3 weeks, and we're starting in Northern Ireland in Dungannon, Drogheda, and then we're going to be in Hartlepool, Oldham, Sheffield, and Chelsea and London, Maidstone and Kent, Birmingham, Milton Keynes, and Brecon in Wales, and Worthing. So if you have any listeners in the UK, search for Kaz Hawkins or myself online and come and say hi. It'd be great to meet you.
And if you mention you heard Sam on the Artistfirst Network, Sam will hand you £50 cash.
That's right, absolutely.
Cash money.
Sure. I'll forward the money from Scott.
Okay, folks, I was joking about that. Don't do something stupid like that. Now, Sam, we with the phone issues, we didn't get a chance to talk about the last song we just heard, Crazy World. That was an interesting cut. Tell us about that one.
Well, it kind of steals the punchline of the story, because basically that song began life as a commission from a record label who wanted me to write a song for a boy band. And I'd never written for a boy band before, and I got the call just as I was about to go and visit a very, very old friend of mine who was working as a doctor in the Peruvian jungle. And so this was sort of a trip of a lifetime, and I got the call just before I left all phone signal and disappeared into the jungle. And so while I was walking for about 5 days to go and meet him, I had this idea going round and round in my head, like, I've got to write this song for a boy band, and the thing they'd asked for is like a campfire anthem. That was the record company brief. And so I just ended up writing this song kind of as I was stepping through the jungle. And then when I got sort of back to civilization, I got a guitar and I recorded it and I sent it to the label. And of course, it turned out to have been a very sort of political song, probably just because of the mindset I was in while I was walking on my own. And of course, they didn't want it. And of course, I was never asked to write for a boy band again. But yeah.
Well, I think you write great music, and listeners, get out there. SamYork.com is the website. Download his app for the iPhone. Support this artist. He deserves it. As all of the indie artists that appear on this network, that's the whole purpose for this network, is to bring these people to your attention, listeners, in the hope that you will support them and add them to your music library, as they deserve to be there. Sam, anytime you want to come back, you are welcome here. Whatever we can do to further your career, this station is at your disposal. Sam, let us know how we can help.
Well, thank you, Scott. And I can't believe an hour and 15 minutes is just, it's gone in a flash. It's been great fun.
It is. It flies by, everybody. Our guest, Sam York, he's a terrific talent. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into this international installment of a featured music special on the Artistfirst Radio Network. We look forward to the next time we do one of these broadcasts, and hopefully you guys will visit our archives, which you guys statistically download 3 shows per minute, every minute of every hour of every day. 600 million downloads from our archives in the last 11 years. You guys kick ass. Keep it up, folks. We certainly appreciate it. Sam, best of luck with your upcoming tour. Man, you're living large, Sam. Let us know when you're ready to come back.
Thanks, sir. I absolutely will be back, Scott. Thank you so much.
Take care, everybody. Thanks, Sam.
All right, goodbye.